Hi, you guys. Welcome. My name is Naomi Dunn. I am an inner work coach, a transformational coach, and a EFT practitioner. This is Disrupt Your Norm, where I help you disrupt your current norm, which, if you clicked on this video, is probably somebody who is struggling with emotional processing, to bring you to a better norm where you can emotionally process and you have a tool, a really effective tool, that's going to help you do this from this day forward. So, what is the tool that I use? I need to say it right off the bat that the tool that I'm sharing with you today is going to include EFT. So maybe you know about it, maybe you don't. It's a really effective tool, but that's not just it. That's not it alone, okay? This tool is a tool for you to use by yourself without the help of anybody else. And it truly is an emotional healing tool, an emotional processing tool, a tool that can actually help you overcome the traumas of your past and process them out of your body. It is a tool that is highly effective. I have seen it work for so many people, and it's not difficult to do. Anybody can do it. What I like to remind people of before they decide to do something that will help process the emotions out of the body, I want to remind you that your body, if it is not used to emotional processing, is going to go to its default distraction. But this is something you have the ability to shut down. Okay, what do I mean by this? We train ourselves to distract ourselves when pain comes, way more than we ever did in the past, and it is a problem. It's a really big problem. And so whatever your default distraction is, whether it's going on TikTok, whether it's going to the fridge, going to sex, going to drugs, going to whatever it is for you, whatever your usual default is, when you are about to emotionally process, that desire to do your default distraction is going to be turned up. Okay, I say this as a warning to you for either now or in the future when you decide to process that it's going to come up, but now that you know it's just a distraction from something that's really good for you, that's going to make your life better, and that's going to make you feel way better when you're done, you don't have to say yes to the distraction, because the distraction is never worth it. The distraction is only going to keep you stuck in your ways and not process what you clicked on this video to process. So, all you need for this is a journal, a pen, and yourself. Okay, we are not just journaling. Okay, don't click off this video just because I said journal. No, we are combining two different tools into one to make a very effective tool that works for a lot of people. Okay, the first thing you need to do is decide what you are going to process. Now, it's either going to be one of two things. It's going to be an emotion or it's going to be a situation. It can't be both. It is much better to have a very clear one thing that you are working on processing. So decide now, am I going to process the feeling of shame, or am I going to process the circumstance that created the feeling of shame? If you don't know which one to pick, then sit with it for a second in your body. Think of the feeling of shame and think of the circumstance that created the feeling of shame, or whatever it is for you. I'm just giving a general example. Which one feels more intense for you? Which one kind of shows up a little bit more for you? When you think of the thing, the trauma, the problem, the thing that's going on in your life, or if you think of the emotion, which one's stronger? That's the one you're picking. Okay? That's how you know what to work through. So now that we know what we're going to work through, we get our journal out. We're going to start writing line by line, okay? One sentence, next sentence, next sentence. To make it really simple, there's going to be two segments of this journal session. There's going to be the bad part and the good part. What is the bad part? What is the good part? Let's start with the bad part first. The bad part is where you are writing about the emotion, about the circumstance, about the situation, and you are essentially complaining about it. You are mentioning what it's doing for you. You're mentioning what it's doing to your life. You're mentioning how it's affecting you. You're mentioning how it feels inside of the body. You're mentioning how it's affecting your relationships. Allowing intentionally to bring the emotion up. You're allowing the emotion to come up. You're bringing up the bad. Why are we doing this? Because we are trying to get this emotion up and out of us. I need to give a disclaimer really quick. If you were to, as you're doing this processing, rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, and you are at an 8, a 9, or a 10, that's where you may need some help. The only reason I say that, I don't say this as if you're broken, because you're not, we've all been there. The only reason I say that is I don't want you to get triggered into a panic attack or into an emotionally numb state, because the emotion that you are bringing up has become too heightened and it's affecting your body and its stress levels too much. You may need the guidance of somebody else who knows about emotional processing, who knows about the nervous system, and who knows how to help you in this area. I say that as a disclaimer because I do not want you to get to a point where you feel stuck and you can't get out. Okay? But for the most part, we can do this on ourselves for everyday stressors, for the really bad days we have, for a lot of the emotions that are stuck in the body. We can do this to ourselves without getting into a state of panic or emotional numbness. But if you feel yourself going down that path and you feel like you're not going to be able to get out, it's okay to get help from somebody else. You can come back to this tool and do it on yourself for the things that are maybe less stressful for the body, for the things that are less triggering for the body, okay? But if we're at a 5, 6, 7, and we're feeling it, we're feeling emotion, it feels strong but not strong enough to put us into a panic mode, then we can keep going. So you're going to do it until you get to your highest point. So it's going to go like this. You may be starting at a 3 as you're writing down, you're feeling the emotion, thinking about the problem. You may be at a 3, and as you write, it's going to get higher. 4, 5, 6, 7. When you feel yourself at your max, you keep writing until it starts to go down again. Okay, I'm editing this video and there's two things I wanted to point out that I forgot to in this video. The first thing is that sometimes we don't start at a 2 or 3 or at a 4 in the scale of how intense we are feeling the emotion. Sometimes we start at the highest point, and that's okay too. If you start at your highest point, that's absolutely fine. You can work your way down as you do the journaling. The second thing is sometimes through the journaling, it may not be enough for some people, or it may be absolutely perfectly fine for other people to help process the emotion and lower the number on that scale. So if you're finding yourself only lowering maybe by one number or just a tiny bit, that's okay too. That's why this is a two-part tool, to help you rid that emotion, rid that trauma. So that's what I wanted to mention. It's okay if you start at a high point, a 7 or an 8, and also it's okay if the journaling doesn't process it enough for you. The second step will really help you. Why does this happen? This happens because we are processing it out of the body. The only way we can process it is by allowing it to be felt, to then be overcome. And that's when we can move on to the good. You see, when we have trapped emotions in the body, it's like this gunk that covers our eyes. Think of a windshield that covers a windshield where we can't see clearly, we can't think clearly, we can't see what's really going on, we can't see the positive because we have this gunk that needs to be removed. As we process it, we are removing the gunk to then have a clear mind to start thinking good. So in the second portion, when you feel yourself at the 1, the 2, or the 3, you're going to start writing some good things, okay? You're going to start, whoa, yay, good things. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening on Spotify, a bunch of fireworks just came on my screen. Good things, amazing. Okay, so what kind of good things are we writing about here? We're writing about the reality of the situation, and I'm not here to express toxic positivity. We don't have to say that the experience we had is the best thing that has ever happened to us, because that trauma could have really affected you in an absolutely terrible way that you don't have anything inside of you that could ever say anything good about it. I understand. That's okay. But what we can do in this good section, I only say good and bad to simplify it, but we can use other words. What we can say in this second section is the reality of the situation, the truths that we couldn't see before because of the gunk. So it's a tiny bit hard for me to specify because everybody's going to come at this and watch this video with completely different problems. Someone may be watching with a big trauma, someone may be watching because they're overcoming a limiting belief, someone may be watching because they fed into a negative thought. So whatever it is, your responses are going to be different for each one. So let me give you some examples as I use my pretend notebook, and you will know based on those examples what kind of things you can be writing. Even though I had this ... thought, I now can see or open my mind to the idea that it is not true. What if ... happened not because of my own fault, but because of this situation? I now can see that the thing that happened to me was happening to me not because I am unworthy, not because I deserved it, but because of ... I can now see the reality of the situation. I thought it was this ... but I realize now it is this ... Now that I have overcome this trauma in my body, I can realize that the trauma that happened to me was happening to me then, and just because it happened to me then does not mean I have to live a bad life now. I get to live a good life now. Life gets to be better now. I do not have to live my life with this idea anymore. I do not have to live my life with this emotion in my body anymore. I do not have to live my life thinking I deserve this life anymore. I do not have to live a life where I think I have to be in pain all of the time anymore. Even though I went through this pain, I love that I learned ... from it. Even though I went through this pain, I love this perspective I have. The new perspective I have is ... I hope you get it. Now, this is not toxic positivity. This is seeing the reality of the situation. The reality is the pain that brought you to where you are was a pain that happened then, and life is happening now. I hope that makes sense, okay? I hope you gathered enough ideas to know what to write in the good section. And so now we're moving on to part 2. What we do now is we do an EFT session with ourselves by using the words that are on the page. You guys all know I love EFT, I find it extremely effective, but it can be hard to do on yourself when you don't know the words to say. When you have the words in front of you on a piece of paper, you don't have to deal with that problem. You know exactly what to say. So what you do is you go through the EFT, the emotional freedom technique, where you're tapping on the meridian points of your body. And as you are doing this, you are saying each sentence one at a time. To really understand EFT and to know how it works and to know how to properly do it, I have a video specifically on EFT teaching you exactly how to do it. You can watch that video, and then when you decide to do the EFT on yourself, pull up a picture online or write it down, the exact points and where you're going to be tapping so that you don't forget, so that when you do this tapping session and you read out the words on the page, you are processing with ease because you know what you're doing, you know what you're supposed to be saying, and you're just allowing the emotion to be processed out of you. You're just allowing the emotion to arise without thinking in your head, am I doing this right? Am I doing it wrong? No, you have everything in front of you to know what to do. So part 1 is writing out the words, and for some people that's enough, and that's fantastic. If you still feel it in your body, do an EFT session where you're tapping on the meridian points of the body that help you to process the emotion out of the body while saying the words in the exact order that you wrote them. And the only thing that will be different is in EFT, we start on the karate chop point of our hand and we do this 3 times. We say a specific sentence and then we start saying other words as we are tapping on the meridian points, other meridian points of the body. So the karate chop point won't be journaled down. You're going to say something like, even though I'm going through this emotion, or I'm dealing with this circumstance, or thinking about this pain in my life, I still choose to ... It's up to you what you say. Some people say, I'd still choose to love and honor myself anyways. I still choose to accept myself. I still choose to know that I am safe. Whatever resonates with you, that's what you're going to say 3 times in the karate chop point. Even though I'm going through ... I still choose to love myself, to honor myself, to recognize that it's not my fault. Something positive that you want to shift into, that's what you're going to say 3 times. And then you're going to go down the list while doing the EFT on your body, tapping on the meridian points, going down the list one by one by one. This really is a bulletproof way to process emotions for so many people. I'm going to put on the screen my video on EFT because this video would be far too long if I taught you everything you need to know about it, as well as the technique I taught you about today. So watch that video if you are not clear on how to do it for yourself, and please try this. Please let me know how this works for you. It works so well for so many people, and yeah, I hope this helps you. Thanks, you guys.